crazy. He was just swinging his balls around. I don't know if we can say that on the air. I don't know if we can. I don't know if you can say that on the air. They have a fucking flag that represents people in front of my kid's elementary school that represents genitalia in front of all the fucking elementary schools in California. And you're worried about Patrick Vellner talking about swinging his balls around? I hate it when Sevan interjects his politics. No, it has nothing to do with politics. I'm a dad. It's just my kid's elementary school. It's education.
What's a genital flag?
The gay pride parade, the LGBTQ flag that they got in front of all the elementary schools. That flag signifies that you like people with the same genitalia that you have. That's all that is. That gay just means that like I'm a dude. I got cock and balls, and I want to rub them all over Hiller's face. And so that flag means that it's a great thing for Hiller to have on his garage door. So I know to drop over and catch a cold one on Saturday night. I don't want it in front of my kid's elementary school. And it's not politics.
Hey,
it's education. Hi, Brian.
Go.
And so what I'm saying is I'm perfectly okay with Vellner swinging his balls around. That's the least of my concern about fucking saying testically. He talked about Guy's balls, and Guy does have some big old balls.
Sevan, just so you know, I'm only here to see Taylor.
and the comments.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, day 2. J.R. Howell was right about Joel. We will get to that. There was no reason to get excited. He is not the hottest commodity on the planet. It's still Colton Mertens and Tudor Magda.
And Phil Toon.
Phil Toon. And he cannot grab Phil Toon's pubic hairs. I take that back and just rip a handful out of his pants.
That was not long-lived, that Nicholas Joel ran.
God, what an alpha move. Just grab a hand. Did you guys ever play sports where you showered with other dudes? I never got to do that. That must have been fun. There must have been some crazy shit that happened.
The people
I got woken up by a bare butt cheek fart on the face. After a football 2-day, I was laying on the bench sleeping, and one of our linemen walks up to me, pulls his pants down, puts his butt cheeks on my cheek, and farted.
What if he would have sharded?
Dude, I probably would be dead.
My kids love that word, sharding. They're like, they can't. The other day, my son's like, "Do girls shart?" I'm like, "Uh-huh." He's like, "Wow."
I've got a buddy who tries to convince me every time this comes up that everybody does it, and I always tell him that I've never sharted ever.
Wow.
I've never had an accidental poop fart.
Wow.
Wow. But have you ever shit yourself?
Hey, all that means is you don't take risks, Hiller. All that means is you don't take risks. That's all I hear. You don't take risks.
So you're telling me that my buddy's right, and everyone in the world has shat themselves on accident at some point. With the exception of toddlers, where that's always the caveat, is that you can't control it when you're that old. You don't even remember.
And that was, yeah.
Strength and depth, barbell complex. Shall we start there? Christoph and Houdet, 2 biggest lifts, both in heat 2. Willie George with the second.
Heat 1, 1 in heat 2.
Oh, okay. Thank you. 1 in heat 1, 1 in heat 2. That means they suck. And Willie
George.
That means
they sucked on day 1. It could be the opposite of Joyelle.
Correct.
In fact, it basically was the opposite of Joyelle for Houdet.
Oh, Joyelle. I'll be running the back end until the lovely Matt Souza comes. I apologize for my slow clicking of screens.
Does that mean Taylor's asking the questions?
Yes. Let's look at what happened here. Is Willie George the real deal? The commentators are saying that he's possibly top 10 material at the games. Mr. Self.
I think it'll all depend on his shoulder. Previously, when he came onto the scene in 2018, I believe, with bicouplet 1 and 2. I remember he smashed those 2 workouts. He did really well. What was his overall placing, Brian, in 2018?
13th
at the games? Yeah.
He was
top 10, right?
He won bicouplet 2.
I think he was 10th.
Yeah, so he's for sure a top 10 threat. It just is a matter of, to me, how, it's tough coming back from injury, and it takes time. So it's just
ninth,
if not this year, then for sure next. He's an extremely fit dude, very athletic.
He's 29. Does he have it next year?
Yes.
All right.
Sam Briggs is 40.
I know, and you know what? Did that I think that era of that kind of athlete is, well, shit. I'd like to see someone else try that. I cannot believe I guess it's still early. I cannot believe that she thinks that it's going to be possible to go with a 65 kilogram complex and then sit out for 2. I mean, if that happens, I'm joining the women next year. I'm doing it. I'm trannying up and I'm entering the women's division.
She only did it to get the points because there's women who've withdrawn from the competition. So she had to record a lift. She gets 10 points for finishing last. Well, they didn't even start the competition, actually. It just wasn't a full field. And why stress her body on the last 2 lifts if she's not going to beat anyone else when she's got 3 events that she could do well on coming up?
I hear you. I have some arguments to that. I'll tell you once I see the rest of the numbers.
The rules specifically say that you do not have to make 3 attempts. You have 3 available opportunities to make attempts.
I'm okay with that. It's just the minimum. What was the next lowest lift?
Irrelevant. It's a point system. Z-score would address this issue.
But what's the next lowest lift?
178.
Which was how many kilograms?
176. I'm not sure about the kilograms. It's listed in pounds on the website.
And what did she get?
It's 33 pounds.
143.
Okay, so she would have had to gone up a lot just to beat the next person. I'm not arguing with her tactics. I just can't believe that's going to work.
Why? It's not any worse than Colton Merton's taking second to last on a rope climb event, and he made it to the games.
He's exactly right.
It's
just a matter of how big can she go on these next 2 workouts. She said she would come on with Emma McQuaid, by the way, tomorrow.
Oh, she did?
Cool. Yeah.
Emma McQuaid and her will both come on?
Yep.
Close our eyes and you can't tell them apart when they talk.
I was noticing, this is an interesting thing, kind of a sidetrack, but who's the girl, Taylor Howe? Her accent is so, like, I wonder what the kind of, like, nuance between, like, someone who's from London and someone who's, like, from the country or, like, different parts of the UK, because her accent is so fucking different. Like, I wonder if would be, like, the redneck of Europe. And that's not derogatory. I'm a redneck.
Of the UK. It is distinctive. Yeah. I had a chance after
I'm a redneck, I can say redneck.
Exactly.
I went up to North United Kingdom with a friend from over there, and very, very different.
So North is like where they sound kind of so hard to understand.
Kind of like Boston.
Gotcha. Okay.
She's from Wales, they're saying.
Interesting.
We don't even know what that means here in the United States. Is that a different country, a different state? Like, does that mean you bow to a different king? Like, we don't even know what that means. Sorry.
Somewhere in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
You're on the same island? It's still cold and rains a lot. Houdet, 19th, 8th. And then, like you said, man, he did it. He did the Joyelle move, a first and a second. Are we surprised that he got? I know we're not surprised at his first. Are we surprised at his second?
Taylor,
I am.
I'm not too surprised at that second place in that workout. There's a lot of strategy that goes into that, and I really do think Andre Houdet is an incredibly smart competitor, and he's very high skilled. So no, I'm not very surprised at that.
JR?
I just thought it was really impressive that he did that, not racing against the fastest guys, not racing against the Heat 3 guys. It was pretty impressive. But also, too, just something good to note, that if he does qualify for the games, this wasn't what I would consider a long workout. However, this style of workout, comparatively to workout 1, where it just wasn't a good one for him, is his capacity more so in classic CrossFit, or can he translate that over to monostructural workouts?
I just want to say something here real quick. Houdet won the bar complex with 330 pounds at strength and depth. The next workout that we're talking about, I'm shocked. I mean, I don't know what his weaknesses are, but it was dumbbell deadlifts, handstand walk, box jumps, and toes to bar, and then some of that shit all over again. What was it in the first workout that crushed Houdet?
He might be a bad runner.
Okay.
He's a deceiving runner. He looks amazing when he runs. He has a perfect form. He seems like he's breathing well, but he's not actually that fast relative to the other guys.
And I wonder if that's a pain tolerance. I mean, what do you think, Brian? Do you think it's a pain tolerance thing? You think he just does not have good running capacity? Typically, when you see someone, and that's what
he was in pain.
That's what throws me off when you watch someone run is when they look so smooth, that typically translates to you being a really good runner.
I wonder how often he runs on the air runner relative to outside, because he looks better running outside.
I know he has an air runner. I follow him. He trains on it quite a bit, or at least it seems.
So is that what we're saying? His weakness is to kind of compare this to Guy. Guy, we've said it's everything that goes long, but with Houdet, it's specifically running.
Potentially.
Remember, it's all compared to this field of athletes. And I think Brian alluded to it yesterday that he was surprised by several of the athletes' performances on that workout specifically.
Give me an example. Give me another example. What you mean? Mr. Howell, can you give me another example?
Oh, yeah, sure. So he did that performance on event 1 against this field of athletes. If this field of athletes, like if the field of athletes at the MAC or at the syndicate had this workout at the beginning and Houdet was in that field, he may have gotten 10 spots higher because relative to the field, he wasn't as weak on that workout.
Okay.
Well, we're going to see the same thing with the women in inverse lifting in this field.
I feel like I'm missing the point with what JR's saying. Because
what he's saying is this field is good, very, very good at that particular workout and compared to other semifinals. Like
Possibly.
Yeah, potentially.
But they're not. They're not. It's an example, but it's not a true example. This field sucks.
So
this field does not sucks.
Yeah, no.
Okay. I don't respect them.
Yeah, well,
I don't
because they're not
respect these
American.
Well, that's probably right. All right.
But they're very good. They're just not as strong as I thought they would be.
Let's go down to Mr. Yanikoski. Are we scared? He is in 8th place. He has 276 points. If you guys start talking about him being, he's good for the last chance qualifier, that's bad.
That's so annoying too. I hate the last chance qualifier.
Is that? Are we talking last chance qualifier for Yanikoski already, or are we like no, he's good?
Points to crack the top 5.
He's not gonna crack Andre Houdet and Guilherme.
Oh no.
I gotta make the hard calls.
That guy, I don't know, man. That guy,
he's a brick shithouse. He
looks like an athlete that has a big weakness, and I bet he gets exposed on.
What's his weakness?
Which one? Wait, who are you talking about before you say who are you talking about?
What's so funny, Brian?
There's no R either.
What do you think of Guillaume Briand?
Well, you're saying it way more respectably than Andrew.
Yeah, there's no R. Yeah, sorry, there's no R. Whatever. Guillaume, he's a brick shithouse, and he's not being taken down by Yanikoski. Maybe Reggie Fossa.
The only outstanding question for Guillaume is the legless rope climb workout. I mean, if you look at the things he's done so far on this single modality test, the long monostructural, the weightlifting, those have been bad. And now we have basically a gymnastics test in isolation. On the other CrossFit style workouts, he's been good, and he's generally good in open quarterfinal style stuff anyway, so we'd expect that. So I think he'll do fine on the last workout. So I just got to see whether Taylor's right about an implosion on the legless or not.
I predicted 10th and a third.
Oh, he's 207. I predicted 10th and a third. He's
for who? For Briand? For Briand or for Yanikoski?
Briand. He has a 10-3, a 10-3. And so
oh shit! Nice.
Yeah. Be wild if that happens.
Thanks for explaining the good jokes to me, Taylor. I want to show you something, Taylor, and Mr. Howell, in reference to yesterday. We were looking just now at Houdet, who has a 19th and a 2nd, and we were speculating that maybe it's running. Look at him, and then you can kind of see that same thing with Willie George, right? There's quite a difference, 4th and 11th, and then look at Henrik Hapalainen.
Hapalainen.
Let's just call him Henrik. Yami's guy. He's got a 1st and a 4th in those 2 workouts. So we know this guy comes from a triathlete background, right? So just super engine. Is that what we're seeing there?
Was it Henrik who had a triathlete background?
I think he's talking about Ludwig Hansen's marathoning background, but
Sevan
show.
I'm glad I helped clarify that.
Ludwig Henrik, whatever.
My goodness.
That's what Brian's laughing at. He's just laughing at our pronunciation.
So what's going on with Henrik here? What are your thoughts on this first?
Sevan, if I told you that Henrik has guaranteed another event win tomorrow, would you pick the legless rope climb or the thruster burpee and biking workout?
He takes big shots on the echo bike, doesn't he?
I'm gonna say thruster.
What was he?
What was thruster burpee? What echo bike?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's but how long is that one? What's the time cap on that one?
Short.
It's longer than the rope climbs.
I'm gonna say that one. I'm gonna say that one. That guy looks like he's gonna be amazing at 9-minute workouts of just work, 9 to 15 minutes. Which one? Which one's he gonna take first on, Brian?
Well, guess we'll see.
No,
But
don't
it
do
is
that.
You cannot do that. You
Don't
got to
do
make a
that.
call. Make a call.
Okay, fine. I have heard that he will be in contention for the win on the rope climbs.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, because I was remembering he didn't ping my radar at the Rogue Invitational when they had that 20-40-20 workout, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. And he was in that field. I think at that point in the season it seemed like he didn't come into it like with a ton of fitness that he was trying to carry through the games. But I specifically remember not.
It sounds like from talking to people who know him, it sounds like the Rogue Invitation was actually a kind of a turning point for him. He felt like he learned more in that competition than he did at the games, and he's refocused his training since then, and feels good about the progress he's made in the areas he's targeted coming off of Rogue leading into this part of the season.
So let me just ask you this before I go down. I want to go down to and talk about Christoph Horvat. But are we saying that Janikowski is not going to the CrossFit Games through this?
I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
I think everyone down to 9th is well within reach right now.
Yeah, the good thing about tomorrow's workouts and potentially the most detrimental thing about tomorrow's workouts is that they're very, very narrow margins of error, and they're both, for the guys, probably going to be 7 minutes or less. Definitely the legless. And then that 21:15:9 workout has a 9-minute cap for both male and female. So those times are going to be a lot faster for the males. So you'll see tons of separation like every 30 seconds on both of those workouts.
And they're both pretty CrossFit-y workouts too.
The first one's kind of it can be a bit of a specialty one. And we talked about, these guys have referenced it. This is a deep field. There's a lot of guys that can pop up. So if you are just slightly below average on this one, instead of taking a 10th, you could take a 15th, and that could be too many points gone.
What do you think about the body composition of some of these guys, Brian?
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys. Do you have someone specific in mind?
You're asking the wrong person. You got either a Sevan or me about the body composition.
Yeah. Brian has never even seen a body. Everyone just looks like ones and O's to him. Brian just sees the matrix.
Why are you asking Brian?
What do you think? Because I just wanted to hear what his take was on it. He gives a very technical take, and I didn't want to hear Sevan call anybody fat.
Look at PD Savage, 15th, 14th, 15th, 15th.
You want to hear Brian say it?
What about PD Savage? Are you suggesting all the men in Europe are competing with a healthy amount of body fat?
It's interesting. I mean, did you not notice that?
I didn't notice that. I did notice Alex Kudelis's body though.
What's a healthy amount, Brian?
Well, enough.
Yeah, Brian. What's a healthy amount?
Not depleted before the competition begins.
Who would you say is a fat boy, Taylor? Who'd you see as a fat boy?
I asked Brian.
Turn it on him.
I asked Brian what he thought. Can we please get an answer?
Willie George looks like a fucking special forces nightmare.
And he's GI Willie, dude. He's the only one.
I mean, who are you talking about?
Just storm the castle.
Sevan, can we put Taylor on the back end and you go back to asking the questions?
Okay, yes.
He wanted to talk about PD Savage and his even finishes.
Yeah, but I want to talk about Christoph, and then I want to move on to the women. Christoph here, just because it's the home cooking show. He's a friend of the show. He's always been good to us. 14th, 26th. Brian said he needed good finishes. Are these good finishes, Brian? This first and this fifth?
Yeah, I don't think he would have expected to win with that number out of the first heat today. So I think he's probably thought he could have a top 5, but to get the win there is probably a little bonus for him. And if we're being honest, it really looked like Houdet could have gone for the outright win. He moved that barbell pretty well. Yeah. And then the 5th place is great. Again, he's coming out of the first heat, so he's he doesn't have that opportunity. Neither did Houdet to necessarily race against the other guys. And 5th place out first heat, always good. He took 180 out of 200 available points. I don't know what much more he could have asked for. He could do well on the legless rope climb. He's a big guy, but the last workout should be good for him either way. So we'll see.
The last workout being the Echo Bike Thruster Burpee?
Legless run. I thought legless run was event 6.
No.
Okay, either way.
Is that Alice has it as event 6. Got it.
So he can crush the bike, right? And he can crush the thrusters. It's just the burpees that is going to be Christoph's the question.
Sure, they'll be the worst of the three things for him, but I think he can manage those just fine.
What are we talking about Christoph Horvath for? He's in 12th. He's going to stay down
Friend
there.
of the show. Friend of the show.
Because he's friend of the show.
Friend of the show. Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
and this
sorry.
show is not
I'm new
this
here.
this show is not fair and balanced.
I want to talk about Reggie Fossa, who's sitting in 7th.
Okay, do it.
He's ahead of Yonakoski.
Is he fat, Taylor? Is he fat? Is Reggie Fossa fat? Hold on.
I don't know. Do you think he is?
I don't even know. I can't even remember what he looks
like. You guys, all right. He doesn't look like freaking Willie Georges. I'll say it. God, all right. Now let's talk about him possibly making it up to the ladder.
I look right now, and I haven't worked out in a month.
That's awfully rude. He's performing better. He can at least
killing
bend his knees.
people. I know. That's what I'm saying, dude. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, he's doing real well. Is that the one you want to talk about? I'll bring him up.
No, not only him.
All right. Well, Brian, how are his 4th and his 6th like stacking up for him possibly making a push? Is it going to happen?
This is good. This is the kind of the best he's ever done in one of these situations. He is like from my perspective is just getting messages from people relative to what he's done in the past. He's the most overrated person I've ever seen. But I do think that he's got a lot of potential. He's very good on certain styles of workouts. And by very good, I mean like has a potential to have worldwide wins in some workouts in an open setting even. 4th and 6th is good. He hasn't had a really bad finish yet. I think it's all going to come down to the rope climbs for him. I think he'll be fine on the last one again.
Yeah, I have a big question about on the rope climb. He seems like a guy who he was at Wadapalooza, and he seems like he just has a really good ability to hurt bad, which I think is what a lot of people like that in a competitor. So when they see somebody who can hurt so bad, they're like, "Oh, this guy's going to be fucking sick." But the rope climbs, I have a question mark about.
He looks like he could be in the mafia.
Yeah, he just looks like a kid who like grew up in like the Southie of London and was just like beat the shit out of people.
Scroll down a bit.
He looks like he fell out of The Sopranos.
He looks like a gangster, dude.
Yeah, so gangster.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, there you go. What do you think, Sevan?
Yeah, no, I don't think. No. That's
Peaky Blinders, like Peaky Blinders.
No, he looks good. I like him.
Peaky Blinders.
I like that body. And look, he got the skull on his chest. He's fine. I ain't saying shit.
Yeah, he'll kill you. He's in the mafia.
I ain't saying shit.
I ain't saying nothing.
He'll qualify for the games and then kill you. All right, how about the women?
Hey, let me ask you this, Taylor. Let me ask you this. Do you think that if he lost 5 pounds, it would help his performance? Is that what you're saying?
No.
If he leaned up?
I mean,
because I do see that in some athletes.
Well,
I think, you probably could do better.
Justin Medeiros doesn't compete super lean. I think you look at someone like Noah, and you could make an argument for him competing too lean. But I think it's dependent from person to person, and just like what naturally how your body likes to carry weight. And
I mean, and look at Fraser. Fraser was like a fucking hairy Teletubby.
I don't know. That's the other thing is there were some times where Matt didn't look so lean, and then there were other times where, like in 2018, he looked leaner than fucking Noah. Like he looked like he was ready to fucking like straight out of prison.
Noah said he was too heavy at the games not long ago. You think he competed too lean then? You think he would have had to have gotten bigger, been like a 225 Noah?
No, I don't think he needs to be heavier. I just like look at Noah. It just looks like he has
what do you think?
energy.
Seth, what do you think about 2021 games version of Howell? Was that good amount of leanness?
JR. Get
a picture. Pull up a picture.
JR doesn't eat anything but red meat, fruit. That's it.
Yeah.
He's shredded. I've been on a processed food diet.
Hey, guys, do you guys want to talk about this? Go ahead, Brian. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I just wanted to bring that up as an example. Different things work for different guys.
Yep.
And exactly. I think that
I think I just saw Townsend say he eats McDonald's, so that works too.
No, but I think like that's Noah has still not reached his goal, and so year to year he's trying to make adjustments to refine things to maybe give him a chance to do that. So to compete lean one year and a little bit heavier another year makes sense when you're trying to just break into the upper echelon when you're already established as a games athlete.
Dude, look at this guy's profile pic. By the way, I definitely have body fat inhibiting my testosterone production. But hey, dude, you got to switch that. You got to switch that profile pic.
Do you have a
DM me? I'll coach you through that.
I was actually reading something about how people who abuse PEDs and give out diet plans tend to give diet plans with too little fat in them, because when you take PEDs, all of a sudden you don't need your body to produce testosterone. I'm getting on a rant here. So that all of a sudden they forget because it's their bias towards a low fat diet, and you need to eat fat to produce a healthy hormone profile. That's the gist of what I'm saying. Yeah, fat is good. Fat's awesome.
I eat so, yeah.
One day I ate like 300 grams of fat and I felt awesome.
Mr. Townsend says that is true. Hiller.
I think he might be talking about the McDonald's thing, though.
Oh.
Maybe both.
Let me Sevan, you always say that. We've chatted several times on IG. Oh, so I haven't given you any advice. All right. Morning Chocolate reported yesterday in 2 separate articles that Strength and Depth did make some adjustments to the ring height for the athletes. We love that, right? Yeah, thank you. Even if everyone tells you no, do the right thing, right?
The right thing is always the right thing. Do you want to caveat that with the Atlas Games saying, fuck you, we're not moving anything? But we will throw athletes at the rings. Let's leave that till tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll do some bashing. Do we want to talk? Does anyone want to talk about, say anything about this documentary that they keep pushing, Next Generation? I just want to say one thing about it. Okay, go ahead.
Brian has thoughts.
I want Brian's thoughts. I thought what he said was fucking perfect, and I want to hear him kind of get a little deeper into that, delve a little deeper.
I don't want to spend too much time on it. You get to say one thing.
I already said what I wanted to say.
Okay, if you want to see what Brian has to say, go over to his Instagram account.
Dave's not even in the fucking commercial.
Well, I don't care. Trailer. I don't care about that because I'm not worried about DEI shit. There's probably other Mexicans in it, but this thing, how it starts in the beginning with Tia Toomey justifying her how much she trains and that she's a professional athlete is a fucking embarrassment. It is an embarrassment to the sport. Tia doesn't need to justify anything to anyone about how much she trains. They should just have her be like, hey, I'll go against anyone, anytime, anywhere. Fuck you. Let's do it. That's what the 5 times champ says. Not, I would put against my training against anyone else's training because I think I'm a professional No.
Yeah, the narration was just kind of.
It's so defensive. It's like we have nothing to prove.
And the other part of it,
no one wants any of Tia. Nobody. We all know that. Nobody. Go ahead. Sorry, Taylor.
What I kind of like laughed at was when Sean Woodland. No offense to Sean Woodland, I don't know, but when he was saying like, "Oh, you can't really do it part time anymore," it was like they literally took that line from a previous documentary. And it was one from like 2016. And I was like, holy fuck, this is just the same exact thing we've heard year after year. Can you just create something new, please?
The best thing is when Tony in 2008 and Every Second Counts says this shit could kill you. That's it. Yes. Good. It's fucking hard. No one wants any of Tia. No one wants any of Matt. There's nothing to prove. Just show us these guys grinding and going to war.
Did they show a slow-mo replay of
it's beautifully edited. The audio is awesome. I hate to take a shot at it. It's beautiful. I mean, it's just absolutely beautiful. But I'm embarrassed for Tia every time I hear that opening thing. I mean, I'm truly embarrassed for her. I get up and walk away. Just tell me how great you are. I don't need you telling me that you train as hard as anyone. Just tell me how great you are.
I do think it's pretty ridiculous that they have shots of people testing workouts at the ranch and the person who programmed the 2021 games is not featured at all. Interesting.
It is. You guys want to hear what Brian said about it?
I can't wait to watch the same thing that's been out for as many years. It's the exact same freaking thing every single year.
Yep.
Like if you watched them consecutively, you'd be bored out of your mind after the second one because it's just like, oh, here's an event. Here's an event.
I don't know. I like it.
2016, and then the 2017 documentary were really cool back to back. I thought the 2018, like the missing documentary that they just came out with, I didn't like that one. Some of the newer ones have just been trash.
Brian, do you care if we play a little bit of this, Brian?
I'll just talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Now you'll talk about it.
You guys have got me fired up by continuing to talk about it. So
let's fucking go.
Mission accomplished, I guess. No, I just think, look, if you think about the documentaries over time, they've always really been about the top person or the top 2 people. And so this year in general with the semifinal coverage, one of the things I've been trying to do is to create more coverage for more people. So the documentary, in theory, the next gen is probably doing that, where it's focusing on the next wave that's coming in. I just think it's maybe a year or 2 early because when I'm looking back at last year's CrossFit Games, I think I actually misspoke in that Instagram video. I said 5 of the 6, all 6 of the podium finishers from last year have finished on the podium previously. So there's no one in the next generation in that regard that busted onto the scene last year and did anything great. You have to go down to 7th place.
It should actually be old pregnant lady takes 3rd.
Or old injured professor takes 3rd.
Yeah. I mean,
that'd be
Right.
awesome. God,
But the point is, it's very obvious during this semifinal season that the next generation is coming. But we've by putting this title out there, we're kind of jumping the gun on it, because I think what you're going to see from a big wave of athletes this year that are for the women down to 17 years old, and for the men maybe from 20 to 25 years old, is an influx into the top of the leaderboard. I still don't know if they're going to be able to crack into the podium, though. And so I just feel like it was a little bit early for that title.
Unless they only follow around the people in 7th through 12th place. And then they have like Mal O'Brien, Emma Carey, and Guy. And
is the movie out? Can you see the movie? Is it out?
I think it's just that preview, right? That's what we're talking about.
Sevan, you should do like a Patreon podcast with Dave about what he thinks about all of the semifinal programming, and I would pay $50 on pay-per-view for that fucking show.
and then if we say anything bad and people get upset, we'll be like, well, it doesn't matter. It was behind a paywall. We can say whatever we want.
Dude, people would pay so much money for that.
I want to say something else too. By the way, that I just saw in the chat, people were talking about diversity and stuff. I don't know what states you're from or where you're from in the country, but if you ever went to a regional in California, people who look like Taylor were the minority. It's always been like that in CrossFit. If you ever went to the semifinals or the regionals or any of that shit anywhere in the state of California, it was like a fucking melting pot. A complete melting pot, because it was actually an affiliate event when the regionals. So there'd be affiliates just showing up with all Mexicans, all black people, all Filipinos, and they would just be staking their claim, and it was cool as shit. I want to talk about, speaking of next generation, I want to show this clip. Souza, could you pull it up? It's of Emma Lawson at 14. And I don't know which commentator said it, but they said Emma Lawson started CrossFit at the age.
Carey?
No, Lawson.
Emma Lawson started CrossFit at the age of 7, and she was a competitive dancer until the age of 13 or 14, at which point she turned all of her attention to CrossFit. Hearing this makes sense about what we were talking about yesterday. We were critiquing everyone's movements, and then when we came to Emma Lawson, everyone's like,
Joel Gadet, by the way.
Was it Joel Gadet? Okay, thank you, Joel. I mean, she moves. No one has any criticism for her movements. Can you pull that up, Souza? It's clean and jerk.
Yeah, big breath. Yes.
Or JR, what do you think about that at 14, 195?
Buttery.
She is
put JR on 15 minutes timeout, Souza, for using that term on this show, please. Thank you.
Saying it was smooth would not have done that justice.
Yeah, I know. It's Taylor, what do you think about that movement?
great. I mean, it's great. She's 14. That's crazy.
Mr. Hiller.
I think that when I was that old, I couldn't back squat 135, and it's impressive as all hell.
Dude, I
couldn't do that much at 18, so that's at 14. That's awesome.
That's nuts. I don't think I ever squatted with a barbell until I was like 18.
Mr. Friend, is she being completely overshadowed by Mal O'Brien? Is it a huge mistake not to be like Emma Lawson's
I mean, obviously she's good, but Mal
is she better than Mal?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's but she also hasn't had the opportunity yet.
It's okay. It's a sport. We're allowed to talk about it. It's okay. It's a sport. We're allowed to talk about it. We can say who's better.
Yeah, can we say that? Because that's what I was thinking with her. Like, we're watching her just, kind of beat up the Atlas games. And then over the Granite games, we kept saying how it was the weakest female field. So that's why the games are going to be so cool.
Now that we know all the fields, let's rank the female fields from 1 to 8 and where Atlas falls and then where Granite falls.
Oh, that'll be fun. Let's do that next week. That'll be great.
Well, I think I would say, okay, we could do that next week, but I would like to say I think Torian's obviously the hardest field.
Relative to the number of game spots available, yes.
I'm parlaying my Joel energy.
I would say Lowlands is the deepest 1 to 10.
Lowlands was deep for sure. Man.
I want to talk about this stance with these kettlebells that everyone used. A bit, almost their feet touching. Some people with their feet touching. Brian, is this a smart stance? Is everyone was doing it?
That's how I do it.
Yeah. Taylor, you like that stance?
That's pretty much how you do a kettlebell deadlift.
Man, Hiller.
If you think back to the first time you saw kettlebell deadlifts at the games, you would see them all doing them that way. And it's just kind of the way that they're going to hang from your shoulders. It makes it easier. Yeah.
I will say there were some guys that looked fucking butt ugly on that movement, like slinging the kettlebells back and forth. Did you not see any of that, Hiller?
Yeah, that's annoying. I don't like watching that, but
It just
is
looked
what it
so
is.
bad. Yeah, it just looked. Not that
That's
they
what
were,
happens when you do kettlebell deadlifts of things under 200 pounds of kettlebell, though.
Yeah,
They can kind of
exactly.
maneuver them with their shoulders, and it's not a good look.
No,
Now
it
this
just
guy
looked
Yash
gross.
Gami says, I mean, look at his name, but he
Yash
says
Gami
he says he stands with his feet 6 inches apart. Yeah, I just couldn't have my feet. I just wouldn't feel
Yes.
comfortable with my feet like that. It'd be pinching my balls.
7
Well,
seconds or less.
Here's the thing: you have to stand with the kettlebells. You have to stand with a feet stance narrow enough to where your kettlebells can rest at shoulder width distance. And the fact that the handles are at shoulder width and the bell gets wider and pushes into your legs, you just physically can't widen your feet out unless you're holding the kettlebells out.
Gravity. You're saying it's
That was-
gravity.
That was a
I'm
picture
saying Yash
catcher,
Gami
right?
has skinny ass legs if he's standing 6 inches apart.
Mr. Howell, you agree? Sevan,
Yeah,
just shut up. That's the way it works.
Yeah, if you think about when you do a conventional barbell deadlift, the weight is in front of you, so it's in the front of your shin. When you're doing kettlebell deadlifts, the weight is going beside your feet. So if you don't stand with your feet like that and bow your knees out, you're just going to beat your shins to death.
On that note, can we bring up Andrew Hiller's video? I don't know how you have time to make this shit. Kudos to you. You're a boss.
I'm becoming efficient, and I was going to work out, but then I couldn't pass it up. I had to do it. And I am so pissed off. I forgot to press the captions button on Instagram, and I found out a half hour later.
Andrew Hiller's going to get as chunky as who is the guy from the Mafia?
Me.
Press
he's
Taylor
performing
self.
well. That's good.
Can you pull up that Hiller's Instagram and show us that Katrin David's daughter video? Earbud says Katrin's judge brain blood was in his boner. Oh my goodness. My goodness. Tough.
His brain blood was in his boner.
I can't see. I lost all the blood in my eyes.
Can we say that? Okay. So this is a post from Andrew Hiller's Instagram account. It says, for everyone who asked, no, I didn't see Katrin's deadlifts. I'm not sure how her judge did either. I think that's like some sarcasm, basically saying that she didn't do any. And then he quotes something that was said by one of the commentators. When she needs to, she can really ride the line here with these deadlifts. She is so aware of that as well. I think maybe you took that out of context. Is that out of context?
Go ahead and listen. You'll hear it.
Okay, here we go.
Position before and 50 kettlebell deadlifts here. When she needs to, she can really ride the line here with these deadlifts, and she is so aware of that as well. Pushing the pace. Katrin David's daughter, 50 reps unbroken. Katrin really riding the line there with those deadlifts.
Okay,
Katrin
pause
is-
this. Pause this. What? Not get rid of it. Pause it. What don't you like about that? Is her hip not opening all the way?
If we're being entirely honest, I was plugging clips together so that you can hear what the judges are saying in a certain way, and I wasn't grabbing the worst of the deadlifts. And
Okay.
I didn't put a segment in there where you can see that she's clearly not extending her knees or her hips, and it's usually the knees that look weird. And the judge just does not appear to be looking at her at all. Like, he's just like, yeah, whatever. Have a great day. Carry on. 50? Oh yeah, I'm sure you did 50. You're Katrin David's daughter. Move away. That's just the vibe I'm getting from the judge. And
What's up? Why don't you get off her back? She's with Yami Tinkin, and she's not even with Ben Bergeron anymore. Why can't she just like slither away?
It's got nothing to do with Bergeron at this point. This is just nothing. I mean,
okay,
there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
now,
I see
when you
it.
see it, you'll shit
Yeah,
bricks. You ever go to that website? That was one of my favorite websites. It's like when you see it, it's like, there's the no rep.
JR, do you have a problem with these reps?
It doesn't appear like the hips and knees are reaching full extension.
And
Taylor?
all the judge had to do was say no rep one time, and I'm sure she would have opened up her knees and her hips more. And it's the shoulder position makes it appear worse because a proper good deadlift position, you kind of look down a little bit. It makes everything look worse, but that doesn't mean that she's extending her knees and her hips either. But that was the Josh Bridges fisheye camera excuse back in the day. CJ Martin standing right there, and we're looking at him doing a bunch of deadlifts, and because he's hunched over the top a little bit. It's how you deadlift when you're deadlifting efficiently, but still here, if you can't use that excuse because you can watch your knees and your hips not snap open.
Taylor, do you have a problem with this? Should the judge have said something?
Got to trust the guy on the ground, but I do think we should be paying judges, and it needs to be professionalized.
Okay. Brian, do you have any comments on this range of motion?
I'm with JR.
Judge is blind as a bat.
What JR's blind as a bat? What did JR say?
No, he said that she's not reaching knee or hip extension.
Okay, good. I'm glad
It doesn't
someone's-
appear from the camera angle. It doesn't appear that she's reaching knee or hip extension.
Okay.
He's right,
And I'm saying she isn't. It appears that she isn't.
And it's binary. A movement standard is.
Sorry, JR.
No, I mean it's the movement standard's binary. Yes or no.
Can somebody in the comment section, whoever sent me the post that I sent to Sevan to play with the athlete dropping the barbell, and then they decided to play it back in slow motion. Where did that come from?
I'm going to show you guys something that just happened at the Atlas Games. If you are squirmish, you do not want to see this.
Oh, it's bad.
Hey, you guys saw it already?
Yeah.
When did this happen?
5 to 10 minutes ago.
My goodness.
It's fucked.
My goodness.
Roll it.
I'm trying to do a screen share. Oops. Share screen. Okay, here we go.
Oh boy.
And
Action.
Boo!
Oh, it whips.
They slow mode it, which is man, God.
This is from the event, eh?
Yeah.
Atlas
slow
Games
mode it
team-
at the
team
event?
Snatch ladder heat 1, yeah.
What is it, Brian?
Atlas Games team snatch ladder event, men's heat 1.
That reminds me of my skateboarding accident in 2019.
How does this remind you of a
I don't think-
skateboarding accident?
Because that's exactly what my knee did in 2019.
Oh, I'm like, you did.
Oh my goodness, that is just fucking
It
brutal.
was bad, yeah.
That looks just like Blair Chatton
bad.
in Granite Games last year.
His wasn't
First event.
I watched his and it didn't look that bad.
It didn't have that whip to it.
No, his freaking it was like
Let
But
me
it looks like
let me
the
say
same
one more
thing
thing
that
here. I
him
don't know if
and
this.
Brooke-
Let me say
Go
one more
ahead.
thing here too, guys. I don't know if this is true, but we're also hearing a report that something similar to this happened at Copa Sur, and that the reason why Guy didn't do his second lift was because he saw that he was out of respect or just out of keep getting his head clear. Man, brutal. I hope that dude's okay. I hope that dude heals quickly. I'm trying to think yeah, that's not a good spot for your arm. All right. The kind of stuff that you only get live on this show. Let's talk about this girl from Iceland, Solveig.
it's one of
strong.
Oh,
Hey.
he also works out with Yanni.
Let's talk about Patrick Vellner. Mr. Vellner. Hi.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can see you, which is even better. More fun to
Sweet.
look
What's
at
going
than
on?
listen to. Did you take a risk, or is that just you? Were you just cruising out there?
You're referring to those muscle ups?
Just the whole, yeah, that for sure, but the whole shebang, every rep that you went on.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like the first workout where you just had to do something. You had to do whatever you were going to do on those muscle ups, and then you had to deal with the consequences. So I'm pretty good at muscle ups, so I figured I would go kind of aggressive and try to get out ahead, bank 3 snatches before anybody got there, and then just try to hold everybody at arm's length. And that's kind of how it played out.
You cracked a joke yesterday when I said for you to come on the show. You said you couldn't come. Your wife wouldn't let you because you didn't win the events. But I'm guessing there was a little bit of truth there, not like whole truth, but the spirit of that was there was something there.
Obviously, it's true. Now he's won and he's here.
It was actually more. I think by the time I saw my phone, it was late because we finished late here. between events now, we actually have a big gap because we don't weightlift till like 9 p.m. So,
But were you a
by the
little
time we
annoyed
get out of the
yesterday?
venue, it's late.
It looked like you could win both those events yesterday. It looked like you probably could have won them. Like if it was a game situation, you probably would have pushed to get them maybe.
There's a couple. Nick was really good yesterday, frankly. I actually
Is
had a
that what
very
you
good
call
day.
him? Can we call him that? Is that what you call him, or is what? Is that his real name?
Yeah, I can call him Nick. Sure.
Okay, we
Should ask
call
him.
him we call him Joel on this show, but okay, Nick. Let's call
Joel.
him
It's if you want to be more accurate, it's Joel,
Nick. Joel.
not L.
Joel. Joel and Samuel.
But yeah, he was very, very good yesterday. Like I actually had a really good day. There's not much to be disappointed about in the second and the third place finish. I really expected in that first workout, we kind of came out at the same time on the lunges, and he broke at 30 feet. And I was kind of breaking every 30 feet each round. So I expected, because he broke at 30 feet, that he would break at the next 30 feet and then again, which is what I was going to do because my shoulders were tired. But I was like, oh, just get on back on the bar fast, and then you'll get on the bar faster than him and you'll win. And then so I got to the 60-foot section before him, and I dropped it, took a quick break, and then he just didn't drop it. He did 60 feet unbroken, which I could not have done. So props to him. He was fantastic, and that was a great play. He was really, really good on the handstand push-ups.
You hit it well. You hit it well. You looked zero fatigued. You hit it well. I mean, you weren't cantilevering or.
My front rack didn't feel very hot by the end there, but
Your front rack looked marvelous from where I sat. Your front rack looked
and that
beautiful.
second one, both those workouts yesterday hurt pretty bad. Like that second one too, I came out aggressive, and that's kind of been the plan this weekend, is to be a bit aggressive and just kind of try some things. I don't think I have a really big risk of not making the game. So, we don't get a lot of opportunities to practice game time skills and pressure situations. So it's kind of a good chance to, when the lights are on, like see how you can perform with aggressive plans and strategies. So same thing on this muscle up one. I was like, we talked about being more conservative, and I said, forget it. Like, let's go 20-10 on muscle ups, get off around 2 minutes, and then try to just hold everybody off. And yeah, that's what we did. So it's fun. It's fun to do that. But yeah, like I said, second and third yesterday was actually quite good. The more annoying things is like the fact that the same guy won both workouts was annoying, but not something you can control. And it was also annoying that Jeff finished right behind me in both workouts, and I haven't had anybody middle him. And then he did the same thing again today, and he's probably going to knock my block off on the weightlifting tonight. So I'm going to lose a few points, I think, this evening. So I got to do what I can on that weightlifting, and then, I'm going to fleece him tomorrow for all the points I can get.
Well, there was an interesting moment yesterday. You were doing handstand push-ups, and you're in a pretty tight confined area where it looks like you could actually put your hands out and touch both handstand walls. It's like
Sevan,
a prison cell.
it was worse. It was worse than it looked on camera.
Did you get pissed?
I was like kind of just like dumbfounded. I was unbelievable. I don't think I've ever...
You didn't even flinch. We showed it on this show. You didn't even
move an
flinch.
inch.
How close was the lens from your nose? If that was my nose, would it have hit it?
So I was probably picture if you're standing like you're gonna kick up on a parallel.
Yeah.
You're standing like 2 feet from the parallel.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that's where I'm standing, and he walked between me and the parallel. And it was like the first round. Like I did a quick set of 6, and then I was going to do 3 quick sets of 3. So I came down, took like 2 breaths, and I was about to kick back up. I was like leaning in, and he just like panned by, like, and I had to stop and be like,
I don't know how you didn't murder this man. How
Dude,
did
the
you
whole
not murder
screen
him?
was your face. My 90-inch TV was just Pat Vellner for a second. I was like, holy shit.
it was funny. I almost laughed. I was like, this cannot be happening. Like he just
You can't train that composure.
A nice slow pan. I got a nice slow pan shot coming by, and then I just kicked up and did my
Yeah,
rep.
you
I don't
had
think it
to
would've
we watched it in
changed
slow
anything in the
motion.
outcome, but-
We watched it in slow motion, and we watched it several times. You actually had to pause for a second, half a second
I
to
had
let
to
him
wait
go
for
by.
him to walk by
Yeah.
until I could kick up, for sure. It was anyway. I don't think I've ever had a camera person. Like you get some camera people pretty close to you sometimes, and like. When I was walking lunging in that workout, I had a guy like 4 feet from me backpedaling as I was walking towards him. It was kind of annoying. But people get close to you sometimes, and you got to just kind of ignore it. Some competition floors are really tight, And you just sort of get used to dealing with that claustrophobia. But I've never had someone walk in between me and the equipment I'm using. And that was like wild. Like, imagine if you were doing imagine today we're doing those singles on the snatches and you go 1, 2, and then a cameraman walks between you and your bar. Like, I was just like, it was like, yeah, I was shocked. Like, I maybe looked like composure, but I just I didn't even know how to react. And it was like a minute
you didn't
into the workout,
flinch.
so I was
You
like,
didn't flinch.
Whatever. Anyway, it was
And these aren't
that
the
was an
little
interesting one.
these aren't the little cameras like that I use or the Buttery boys use. This is like a big fucking rig that's like sitting on this guy's shoulder. It's like a fucking monster, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying not to notice really. But
It's crazy.
it was funny. I know exactly what you're talking about. I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and it was hilarious. Michelle, my coach, was fucking screaming at him because where they were, it was like the ski, the handstand, push up, and the coaches were allowed to stand right at the gate behind the ski. So she
here
was
it
like
is.
10 feet away, right? And like afterwards, she's like, "Did you notice that camera guy walked right in front of you?" I was like, "Yes, I fucking noticed." He almost touched me with his camera. I was like, "Yeah, I noticed."
Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, he must be zoomed out too, because
He must
would've
be
thought that-
zoomed out.
I would have thought that was like a full nose shot that he got. Anyway,
Yeah, and you're like,
there's not a lot of space there. Like, that's like the length of my torso is like how much space there was for him to walk through.
Is Michelle
Anyway.
back there? Can we see her?
hey,
Yeah, she's back behind my ski probably. She's wearing a white shirt, I think.
when you're on the ski erg, she's holding a cell phone up for you to look at. What's on that cell phone? Is that, I didn't ever actually see you look up at it, but is that just a timer so you know how fast you're going?
Yeah, it was clock.
Okay.
There's only one clock at their venue, and it's right in the middle of the floor, like flat to the floor, basically. I guess you'd say like parallel to the lanes. So you can only kind of see it if you're in the middle of the floor and you look, because it's a TV screen. It's not a clock. So if you look at it from down the floor, like where the skis are, sometimes you just get glare. So you can't really see where you are. And even in that workout, it's hard to like look at the clock, except when you're lunging or if you're on the ski, but on the ski, you're facing the other direction. So it's just kind of a rough idea to know if you were being a bit too aggressive or not. And we had switched the plan up a little bit from what I did in training. So I was curious what the first round time would look like relative to what I did in training. So she just said she'd time it and show me the phone.
What did you change in your plan? Something that would make it you faster?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a good setup to test that when it came out. So I did a couple rounds of that workout with trying to do the lunges unbroken just to see what it would feel like. And it didn't feel good. It's like it taxes your shoulders too much, spending that much time under tension. Then you come back to the handstand push-ups and you're just flat. Like, it's way better to take short breaks. That seemed to be like the best strategy. Save yourself for those handstand push-ups. The handstand push-ups also weren't as deep as I trained them. I think I actually did them at 14 inches when I did them in training. And then it was more like 11 in the competition.
Elisa Bone says, can I just say I love that Pat is taking time out of his major competition to chat?
I don't have to do anything for like 3 more hours. So
when you crossed the finish line on this last workout, there was an exchange between you and Joyal. Sorry.
Adler.
No. Between you and Mr. Adler. I just wanted to say Joyal's name. And I think you said something to him along the lines as, well, we did that one differently, or
yeah.
What did you say and what were you referencing? Just that you guys both came out hot, or?
No, we actually, he didn't come out hot at all. We talked about it and we were like in the corrals. And I don't know, guys are like, people will ask me what I'm going to do, and I'll usually just tell them because I don't know, I don't really care. They're like, what are you going to do? What are you doing in the muscle ups? I was like 20 and 10. And they're like, no way. I'm like, yeah. I'm going to do 2 sets. I'm going to come off at like 2 minutes. And they're like, well, I'm not going to be racing you. And Jeff was like, I think Cedric kind of did that in the heat before us, actually. He was off the box at about 4 minutes, which is blazing fast, faster than I was. And he fell apart. He didn't actually fall apart in the snatches. He missed one and he moved a little slower. It took some time to get to the first bar, but we watched that, and then we kind of came back, and I looked at it like I'm about to do that exact same thing, knowing that was my plan. And Jeff was kind of like, that was dumb. And I said, I don't know if it was. I think you can get to that barbell pretty fast, and then the first couple of reps will feel weird from all the pressing, but I think you settle in, and then you just kind of move through it consistent. And he's like, well, I'm going to be going slow through the muscle-ups and burpees. And I said, oh, okay, I'm going to go fast. We'll see who wins. And I won.
Your overhead position looked better in this workout than at least I've ever seen it. Is your snatching feel any different this year? It looked amazing.
I've actually been working a bunch on my overhead stuff. I've just had a bad shoulder for a long time, and I finally accepted the fact that it's not just going to spontaneously resolve itself anymore. So I'm spending more time dealing with shit like that. We had the stubby bars, the C70 bars. They told us we were going to have the short collar bars, the C70S ones. So those, for me, snatching with those short bars is very awkward. I have to do I bend my arms to almost 90 degrees to hit the hip crease, it's a really narrow overhead position for me to hit on those stubby bars. So I was a little concerned about it going in, but at the same time, as long as you get under the bar, that narrow overhead position is pretty stable. So you can kind of crush yourself to the bottom and get up. And it sort of made your shoulder position feel less wobbly after the muscle ups. I don't know, I was just collar to collar, and I'd be pressing into the collars, and it felt all right. Yeah, it felt good. I mean, I thought after all the pressing from yesterday and the muscle ups, the snatches might feel shakier than they did, but they went pretty well.
Your hands were pushed to the outside to basically touching. They were. You had the widest grip you could use on that short bar, correct?
Yeah, I would have gone wider if I could.
How much wider is your grip? Sorry for the series of loaded questions you're about to get, but how much wider is your grip on a regular bar than that?
I will basically grip collar to collar on a standard bar.
Wow.
If I spread my hand and my pinky's touching the collar and then I grab, that's basically the grip that I use.
Wow. Holy cow. Okay. Because here's the thing.
So I don't know how much wider it is, but it's probably at least an extra hand width and a bit.
There's been this whole thing about the pull-up bars not being high enough at some of the venues for some of the guys. And I was trying to find out if there's any other implement in CrossFit that where it's unfair like that. Unfair in quotes. Not for lack of a better word.
There's some that I don't like. That one I don't like solely because we have another bar that eliminates that disadvantage. And it's
but would it fit? But it wouldn't fit in the lane, right? I mean, that's a lane issue.
It would, because those bars. There's two versions of the short bar. One has a short bar section that you hold on to, and standard length collars, so you can fit more plates on it. So if you were doing a deadlift, say, it would be really good. You can put more plates on it. It doesn't really matter what width you grip at. But there's another version that actually has a standard width middle and short collars. So
that sounds smart.
Weight on it,
okay.
But you can grip at a snatch grip no matter at the same width as a normal Olympic bar. So we have those bars, and they just they don't provide them. So if you're tall and long, and we actually have quite a few tall athletes here, and a lot of them are very strong competitors. So everybody's kind of looking at each other like, well, this sucks. But at least we're all in the same boat. But, I know guys that can snatch at their normal snatch grip with those bars, and that's a serious advantage. So, I don't love that. There's things like that for sure, and everybody has little things. But when we have the ability to fix it, and the equipment exists, the pieces are there, it seems silly not to. And that always bugs me a little bit. But the bar one's annoying. It's annoying because it seems like nobody can have any consensus on what the standard is. All the events, and then people keep saying, well, we got to keep it standard. And then an event in Europe raised the bars, and they keep saying, well, we can't lift it because we're not allowed to use 2 6-inch risers because it's dangerous. And then strength and depth, they were using 2 6-inch risers, and a couple people in our first heats yesterday were using 2 6-inch risers, and they just it feels like there's a lot of saying one thing as an excuse to not do it, and then those things happen anyway. So I don't know. Hopefully at some point, I think it's a problem for next year, but hopefully we can get it solved. We thought we had done what we could to make it better this year, but it seems like it was ignored. And, it seems like there were consequences for some athletes, which is unfortunate, but we'll hopefully be better at that in the future. Currently, the standard is 96 inches for rings, 92 inches for pull-up bars, but it's not a standard in any established rule book. It's just a common practice that was determined arbitrarily 10 years ago that we just continue to do because everybody else does it. And I think that's not a good reason when we have data and, we have a better way, and we're just refusing to do it. And it's a bit frustrating, but I don't know. I raised the point at the beginning of the Atlas games, and then they talked to CrossFit, and then I decided on Thursday evening that I was done dealing with it until I was done competing.
Smart.
I just wasn't willing to invest the emotional energy and time into talking about it.
Smart. Hiller, do you have any thoughts or questions for Mr. Vellner?
I was listening to the broadcast, which I know that you can't hear, and they were talking about how Joel isn't used to being in first place, and he couldn't sleep well. And then all I was thinking is Vellner did that on purpose because he knew he wouldn't have a good night's sleep, and now he's going to take him the fuck down.
Man, welcome to competition. I don't know many people.
Welcome to the real world, buddy.
During competition, I didn't sleep great last night either, so. It's different.
Don't tell anyone that.
Tell you
no,
that.
you slept great.
I'm sure he's that's pressure, man. That's competition pressure. It's weird. It's a different feeling. I think not a lot of people. It's really a privilege and a joy to walk into a competition anonymously and just be able to do what you can, and then that's it. And I feel like I haven't really felt that since 2016. Everywhere you go, there's this expectation of oh, you're going to do something amazing. You're going to win every event, right? And it's hard to just be like, man, I'm going to try. I'm going to do what I can. But I'm sure some maybe the events yesterday were frankly great for him. He's really good presser, really good toe to bar, really good posterior chain. The events were great. It looked like he wrote them. And I'm sure he showed up yesterday knowing it would be a great day. Probably maybe not thinking it was a 2-event wins day, but then probably went to bed last night holy crap, everybody's talking about me. And I know tomorrow I don't have the same mojo as I had today. And that's stressful, right? It's it's hard. It's hard when people start to poke at you, and it does mess with your psyche a little bit. So I'd like to say you get used to it, but I think you learn to manage it. It doesn't ever get it never goes away. So, I think that I was pumped for Nick because I think, he didn't do great in that last one. But I think he finished, so probably couldn't have been that bad. And
he finished last in your heat.
Man.
He finished last in your
but
heat.
the first heat nobody finished, I don't think, and I think
He finished 24th.
Oh, really? Okay, so
yeah.
He shit the bed.
My point being, 2-event wins goes a long way to the cause for qualifying for the games, and he's one of the strong athletes in our region here, in our semifinal. So I think it's going to be interesting. Cedric made a good push back in the last 2 events. He's had a big bonk. So, Nick might end up in that same conversation with Cedric and maybe Jack Farlow, who right now have at least one big bonk and then a couple really strong finishes. So, those guys will be in a fight for finishes for sure.
I was kind of surprised by Cedric's finish in the parallel handstand push-up workout. Did that surprise you?
Not at all.
Really?
What'd he take?
It was characteristic.
Okay.
No, it's not. This is gonna sound bad, but
What place did he take?
24th.
Cedric is someone who, how Noah rides emotional waves very high. He's like that. He's liable to come out really fast when he's excited and make mistakes. He did the exact same thing at West Coast Classic last year. First event, came out, got a bunch of no reps on thrusters, legless rope climbs, a workout that he should have been probably a top 5 in. He ended up in last place. And then dashed his hopes at the games. He's so fit. He's got lots of skills. He needs a plan, and he struggles with it with competition composure. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think his head gets a little messed up when there's pressure. And then, he, after the first event went poorly, and he had a little bit of pressure off him. Performed super well. He's in the second heat today.
Yep.
But performed super well. I think that it's a little bit of that. I think that he just, when the lights get bright, he sometimes gets a bit frantic, and a workout like that, where behaving that way causes failure that's hard to come back from, is difficult. And the same thing with the legless rope climb workout he did last year. So he's a guy that I want him to make it, because he's fit enough. He's certainly fitter than some people who've made it to the games, but I think he makes sometimes poor competition mistakes. Actually, regularly, he'll make at least one major mistake that will usually keep him out. So it's tough. It's hard. It's hard to watch. I sometimes it hurts. You hurt for him, because that sucks to see. Because I think he's got all the tools, and he just hasn't quite been able to put it all together yet. But
Todd M says you make a good point.
That's a good one. But I think there's some people who are gamers, and when it matters, they just figure it out and make it work. Like you look at sometimes guys like Cole Sager, the comebacks he's put up over the years. Will Morad this year, some guys just make it happen, and then some guys they get shaky when things get stressful. So I think he unfortunately has fallen into the second category in the last couple of years, but he's still in it. That fifth spot is still very up for grabs in our competition here. I'm not sure what the points look like right now, but my guess is that Jeff and I are ahead. Probably Alex Caron is in third, and then Alex Vigneault is probably fourth, fifth-ish. Nick's probably fourth, fifth-ish, something like that. It's just, but.
Do you have anything you'd like to ask him, Brian, Mr. Vellner?
Have you had a chance to watch the girls at all?
In our event?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been actually, because Freya is working with Michelle, so I've been watching the women in lieu of warming up most events. I watched the women go. But it's been fun to watch them.
We were just talking about earlier, trying to figure out how good Emma Lawson is. We speculated before this weekend started that this isn't the strongest women's field, but she's been really good against this field. So I was just wondering if you've seen anything.
I don't know. She's good. She's smart. She does some competition savvy things. She's aggressive, and she relies on her strengths very heavily, I would say. So I think once she has a little more time to polish certain things to become a little more well-rounded, it'll be really good. I think, say yesterday, she was very aggressive on the toes bar in that workout, and then she almost fell apart in the last round of sandbags. And she had a minute and a half to do the last set of sandbags, and she almost lost to the previous heat time, beat it by 5 seconds or something. Because I think she went a little deep or just sort of lost focus on that last set. I'm not sure. But, the muscle ups, the handstand push-ups, the toes to bar, so far all of her gymnastics has been very sharp. She's been strong on the barbell. She looks like, it's funny. I feel like when I saw her here, I expected her to be smaller. She's bigger than I thought she was. So I think she's going to be – I'm interested to see what she lifts tonight. I think she's not weak. She's pretty strong for her size, and I think that she's going to be pretty good.
You remember how old you were when you clean and jerked 195 pounds for the first time?
I bet you I could tell you. 23, probably. 23. 24,
we just watched
23.
a video of her doing it at 14.
Yeah.
Nuts.
But I probably did my first muscle up at 8.
Oh,
so,
all right.
Just depends what your sport is, I guess.
Right.
But she's been very good. She's been very impressive, which is nice to see. I think I was actually having this conversation with Michelle yesterday because of how well Nick did. We were I feel like the women in Canada right now, there's starting to be another generation coming up. You've got Emma, you've got Freya. There's been a bit of a lag in the men's field for new faces. And everybody was very who the hell is Nick Doral? But I've been competing with Nick at regional since 2014, 15. He's been on the circuit here for a long time. People just aren't really familiar with him. And we don't have that same group of 20-year-olds coming in yet on the men's side. Jack Farlow is kind of there. There's maybe a couple that just aren't, maybe not shining the brightest this weekend yet, but we've got a lot of old season competitors here. It's the same faces from 2014, 15. Jeff's probably the most recent one. So it's cool to see the young ladies doing well. I mean, in general, even the American girls, Paige Powers, like we've got a pretty young women's field here.
Even the American girls? Easy, buddy. Easy.
I'm just
Easy.
mean like the young women here are like
All right.
are holding it down. Like
Yeah,
they're
the
showing
Mayhem
up really well.
Empire. The Mayhem Empire sent Paige Powers up there to keep you guys in fucking check.
Yeah, how's she doing?
She's doing great. Second place.
Yeah.
The long arm of the Cookville, the long arm of the Mayhem Empire, to reaching up until the Atlas Games.
I mean, a bunch of our French Canadian guys are on the Mayhem train too. But I'll tell you something, they're not winning.
Hey, is Medeiros been texting you at all this weekend?
No, I haven't heard from him in a little bit. Probably since like.
How about Matt? How about Matt? Is he up in your text messages?
Fraser or
yeah, Matt Fraser.
I talked to him like a couple days before we started, just about nothing related to competition. But I don't know. No, I don't know. People have been leaving me alone.
All right. Well, I'm not leaving you alone.
Yeah, I get that. Get that vibe.
Does anyone else have anything else they'd like to say to the great Pat Vellner?
Yeah, I got a question for him.
Please, Mr. Howell.
So not to look too far ahead to tomorrow, but tomorrow's got the chipper workout. On paper, it seems like it's supposed to be 3 to 4 minutes for the 4 sets of 100 double unders, the 3 sets of 100-foot handstand walk, the chunk of 100 wall balls, and then the 100 GHDs. Do you think it's going to end up being a lot like skiing with Karen, and the separation is just going to be who can cycle the GHDs and manage those the fastest?
I think that workout will be determined in the wall ball, handstand walk, GHD, handstand walk. Mostly in the handstand walk, GHD, handstand walk. And that'll be the separation will happen on the GHD to see who has some capacity to continue to move. The difference between finishing 100 GHDs in like 4:45 versus 6 minutes is just insurmountable when on that back bit. Once you get to those double unders in the back bit after that last handstand walk, the workout's basically over.
Right.
It's going to be hard to catch people there unless you just have really high power output on the bike. My plan is to not be in a race on the bike at the end. But there's, I think it's a pretty smooth chipper. I think you can move through it pretty consistently. And that's probably the smartest way to do it. There's a couple guys here that I think will be very strong at it. Alex Caron will be really good at it, I think. A couple of those Mayhem guys who do like a ton of GHDs, I think will be very strong. But yeah, I think, I don't know. Hopefully they are, because I could use them to middle Jeff.
Patrick, thank you.
My pleasure.
Always great to have your insight. Say that again?
How's Europe doing?
It's okay. It's okay.
It's very competitive.
Boring.
It's not
Boring.
It's not boring.
I wouldn't say it was boring.
Oh.
Catch up on it later. Well, yeah, enjoy the weightlifting tonight. We'll see if Jack can hit 400 pounds and if Jeff power cleans the house.
Willie George is winning over there, and Jacqueline Dahlstrom is winning over there. The women's competition is actually pretty good over there.
Is Yana still on the outside?
He is.
Yona, Katrin, and Sam Briggs are all on the outside with 1 day to go.
Don't tell anyone this. Yanikoski's not going to the games this year.
Doesn't look good. They have what left tomorrow? They have rope climbs and then the bike thruster burpee workout. Huh?
Right.
That'll be exciting. I'm glad I don't have to do that workout.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. Thank you. You're the man.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
We're the luckiest people on earth.
Keep Taylor big.
Big thumb. Big thumb. Big thumb. What do I got here?
Interesting perspective. You know, the workouts at the Atlas Games look very challenging and brutal to me, and he's grateful he doesn't have to do that Echo Bike workout.
I think, yeah, it's interesting. To me, the workouts at Atlas so far that have been challenging are in that like 8 to 12 minute time domain that is really painful. But if you have a good CrossFit motor, they just don't feel the way that Echo Bike thruster burpees kind of feel. Where like you feel the lactic burn before you feel it catch up aerobically, and then you finish the workout, and as you lay on the floor, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse for like the next 10 minutes. I think that's what he doesn't want. And I don't blame him.
I want to bring something up here about what we saw the refs doing, but not only the judges doing, but what we saw one of the coaches doing today. I don't know who saw it, but I'm in a text thread with y'all, and someone said that they saw one of the athletes being helped up on the rings by a judge. Who I didn't see that, but why does that happen? Aren't there risers out there?
There's been an issue apparently with the 2 risers, and because one riser isn't enough for some athletes, they need 1 riser and a boost.
The thing that I noticed from it,
but why not use 2 risers then? Sorry,
I
Taylor.
think it was a safety issue.
They're claiming it was a safety issue, and the girl who received the help, it was not even the shortest girl in the field. So it was just strange to me that she was requiring or asking or having her judge kind of assist her up onto the rings as she jumped. I just thought it was kind of ridiculous that we're in a competition testing the 30 of the fittest women in North America, and she needs help to jump up to the rings.
Yeah, that's a travesty.
All of a sudden, maybe Tia does need to justify how hard she trains when there's dipshit stuff like that going on in the sport. How about this also? I saw a coach. You know how the coaches are just like 6 feet away from the rings where they stand there during the competition? I saw a coach in event 3 at the Atlas Games. I think it was heat 2, actively arguing or having a discussion with the judge while the judge was supposed to be judging the athlete.
Throw him out.
Yeah, I do think that the coaches need to be told, hey, you're not allowed to say a fucking word to the judge, no matter what.
You know they call that in baseball, right? It calls for immediate ejection.
If what? Tell me.
If you argue with balls and strikes, then they can throw you out just like that, ejected from the game. It could be the coach, it could be a player, it could be anybody. You're out.
How is the judge supposed to do his work if the coach is talking shit to him?
What and yeah, that just baffles
10 burpees.
me. What a fucking asshole, that coach too. Like, dude, do you not understand what's going on right now?
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
The hardest thing I think about being a judge in that is like, so say you're doing the chest to bars, and say we're talking about the synchro chest to bars that we all saw, and you can see that they're not lining up. The hardest part for a judge would then being 1, knowing which repetitions were no reps, and then 2, keeping track of the number that they're actually on. And now if there's a freaking someone yelling at them, then they're have to dealing with it. Hey, shut the hell up. Wait, 4, 5, 6, no rep, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it's bullshit.
If I'm an athlete, I don't want that either. I don't think I want my coach jumping in and getting in the mix with my judge.
It's a terrible look for you.
People
as
are
an athlete.
so weird.
Horrible look.
People are weird.
All right. Before we take off here, the next event's going to start at 3:35. That's 33 minutes from now. I'd like to go over to what do we got? Let's start with oh no, it's the only Atlas Games left. So Atlas Games individual event 4. Oh, it starts at 4 p.m. Okay, 57 minutes. Can we look over there? Can you pull up the leaderboard at the Atlas Games, Mr. Souza?
California Hormone Games, BYOJ. Bring your own judge.
Bring your own juice. What is event 4 here? And it's the complex?
Yep.
Okay. What are we going to see? What shakeup are we going to see in the top 5? Is this where we're going to see Carolyn Prevost take a pretty big hit?
I don't know that you see her take a pretty big hit. I don't know. She's a fucking amazing deadlifter. We'll have to see how that transfers. Brian, what do you think? You're going to have a better answer than me. I don't know much about Carolyn Prevost and her Olympic lifting.
I think she's going to get somewhat bailed out in the same way Katrin did here, where her lift probably won't be that impressive relative to the world, but it might not rank that poorly against this field.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, my wife just sent me a text that says, "Don't kill me." I wonder what that means.
The dog is on the bed.
She probably she probably fed the kids a cookie or something. I'm pissed. I'm out of here. Brian, is there going to be any shakeups? Is this going to be a deal breaker? Who here in this female list at the Atlas Games is like shitting their pants right now? Is like, oh my goodness, I gotta fucking get my shit together here. How about Allison Scud? She's sitting in 7th with 191 points.
She's going to take a hit on the lift for sure.
I don't think so. I think she'll do just fine on the lifting.
Relative to
she looked good. She looked good with her snatches, man. She looked good.
She's a good lifter, and she's gotten stronger this year. I think that overall, I mean, this is about what I expected. I was overlooking Paige Powers a lot coming into this competition. Outside of that, the other 4 that are in the top 5 are the ones that I thought would be up there. I thought Freya would be doing better relative to what she's done. Obviously, she's in 5th, which is okay, but I think she might have had higher expectations also. So maybe she's feeling a little bit of pressure being further down than she thought she'd be. You know, the lift is one of those things you have to execute it. You know, you have to go out there and hit a lift. And we saw even a couple of guys in London today who missed their first 2 lifts, and that's a lot of pressure coming on the last one. So I think that if she can navigate the lift, she's still in a good chance to make it, but I don't think she's as happy as she wanted to be through 3 events.
Who takes that lift, Brian, on the female side? Any bets?
I want to say Powers probably will. I mean, her shoulder strength is incredible, as we saw at the handstand push-ups, and that's probably the limiter for most of these women at the top end.
Does anyone make a big move here? Does anyone, does Molly McGrady win this and put on 100 points and climb up into 5th place, 6th place?
I call Molly McGrady. Yeah, I'll take your Paige Powers and I'll raise you with a Molly McGrady.
You know who that is, Hiller? I just made that up.
No, I just think she's gonna win the lift.
Oh, geez.
Just because you said her name.
Well, just to put it in perspective.
What do you mean?
Hiller, just to put it in perspective before you make that bet. The heaviest lift from this women's field in open workout 21.4, that little lifting complex, was 216 pounds, and Molly McGrady did 185.
Oh.
You should have taken the bet before telling me that.
So you're saying these are a bunch of shit lifters. These are ass lifters.
The heaviest lifters on that complex were Caroline Prevost and Emma Lawson. Wow. And Emma Lawson was even younger then.
Oh,
all right,
wow.
All right.
Yeah, she moves very well.
Wow.
Let's just talk about how Joelle's going to deadlift 600 pounds and throw it overhead.
Chad Schroeder's in the comments.
Alexis, good call. Alexi.
Good call. You don't even know her. Shut up.
DT.
He does know her. He's had her on the show. Okay,
wow. Really?
Who has?
You have.
I had that girl on the show, Alexis?
Yeah, with Caroline Prevost.
Oh, that's her girlfriend?
You don't remember having them on?
I do remember having her on. I remember what she talked shit about poor fucking Christian Harris the other day too. Fucking
was that just after Wadapalooza? You had both of them on the show? Or around then?
No, this is a while ago.
I think before Wadapalooza.
Yeah, this is like last year.
They competed with.
She's one of those people. If you have Carolyn on, like she's like as soon as you start texting Carolyn, this chick starts texting you too. Like she's like they're like one person. They're like one person. You know, people like that. Like that's like J.R. Howell's wife. Every time I text J.R., she calls me. What are you bugging him for? Oh, easy.
What are you bugging him for?
Easy. Okay, let's go over to the men here at the Atlas Games. You know, the women's field is really weak at the Atlas Games. I feel like I'm just realizing it, but I like it. I'm still having fun watching it. I'm having fun. I'm having fun. Emma Lawson just beating them up.
It's not the weakest field, but it's not super deep. I mean, it's not.
Well, as long as they keep doing a semifinal in South Africa, you can always say that. Patrick Vellner, Jeffrey Adler, all safe, right? Alexander Caron safe. Alex Vigneault, what is? Can he make a move here? Is he a big, strong boy?
I would say he's.
There's not a lot of drama for the top 4 guys here.
Yeah,
they are the top 4 are the top 4, and everyone's fighting for the 5th spot.
You think
Connor Doty
top 3?
4.
Yeah, I think Vigneault.
I mean the points. Yeah, there's a gap on the points. I see that, but I'm not sweating Vigneault. He's just been kind of sneaking along there. I think he'll be just fine.
Connor Doty.
What do you think about him?
He's gonna make his move. That's his guy.
No, he's not going to make his move. He's just going to slowly creep his way into the 5 spot.
No. You think
Yesterday,
he's-
Taylor was saying Dylan Pettit is strong, and just imagine if he won, that'd be 100 points. That would shake that whole leaderboard up.
He's going to strict press his overhead because he can.
That
Like
guy,
Zach George?
he's like 240 pounds. Wow. No offense to Zach George, but that was an ugly miss when he missed that one jerk. It was just like right there for so long. Looked tough.
I hear you're allowed to re-rack it though now. So he should have just re-racked it and done it again.
Who are we watching here, guys? Austin, who's going to win between Austin Spencer, Connor Duddy, Cedric Lapointe, and Nicholas Joyal? Number 5, 6, 7, and 8.
I take Duddy.
I'll take Cedric.
Out of 6, 7, and 8.
And 5.
And 5. 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Can Cedric?
Someone told me Joel's got the 4 rep at 355 and a 600+ pound deadlift, but I'm taking Duddy.
I probably take Duddy too. I can see Cedric having a mistake on this event.
How about
Just
this
like
Tyler
Patrick
Lee
just
cat?
said.
He's got 195 also.
No, I've just seen some of Cedric's movement on his page, and maybe that I'm just full of shit, but some of his movement just seems like with everything that's going on with these judges at semifinals, especially in the lift where they're like calling rep. Like, if he gets one no rep in the middle of that complex, he's fucked, and I can see that happening with him.
I heard tie-dye lowers your T count.
Is that a double blind study?
Yes. I want to go over and look at one more thing. Sorry. I want to go at strength and depth and look at the women one more time. This was something we talked about that we never looked at. I want to go all the way. I want to look at Sam Briggs real quick. She's currently sitting in 9th with 246 points. And she has a 3rd and 9th, a 27th, and a 7th.
Yeah, she's awesome. And I also called that last place finish, by the way.
What she needs, the 5th place has 288 points. I just want to hear what you guys have to say. Taylor, you first. Is Sam Briggs going to the CrossFit Games this year at age 40?
Man, the last 2 workouts are so good for her, but
she's got a mountain to climb.
She's got 42 points to gain in 2 workouts. I mean, she's better. The girls ahead of her, I think she's beating. It's possible. It's possible. I can't be definitive. It's for sure possible. We'll have to see.
Hiller, does Sam Briggs go to the CrossFit Games this year at age 40? She's 40 points out with 2 workouts left.
JR. I make all the hard calls.
For JR, I want to make it a little more complicated too. JR, I want to ask you, does she go and does Katrin go? Or do only one?
No, only one of them will go.
I'll tell you Katrin's out. I'll tell you that much.
I don't think Katrin's going with the legless workout.
I think Sam goes because I believe at least one person above her, probably 2, will have a poor finish on the legless workout.
So Katrin's going to help Sam get there.
Maybe.
Possibly 4.
For what?
Women have a bad workout.
Possibly the 4 women immediately in front of her could.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Realistically, she needs to hit fucking bombs on both those workouts.
Just think about it. If she takes, let's say she takes 3rd on that workout, which is reasonable, 4th, 88 points. If the rest of those 4 women average 50 points, which is like a 12th to 15th place finish, then they're all, then she's right back in the lead or 4 points out of a game spot with 1 workout to go that has a biking, burpees, and thrusters in it. She can do that.
Briggs the shit.
And we know,
she's so cool.
I believe we know Solveig, Katrin will have tougher workouts with the legless. I think Taylor House potentially in that group as well, just because she's a bigger girl. And I don't know about Elisa. I don't think Amy Kringle has an issue with the legless, but I'm not sure. Brian?
I've actually reached out to the same guy who helped me learn about Zanoni to see if I could learn about Fuliano, and he said he actually doesn't know too much about her either, so he'll be getting back to me.
Gotcha.
Speaking of legless rope climbs, did you guys see he actually did that weird butterfly rope climb kip?
And what place did he take in the workout?
I can't confirm, but I think he won his heat, so
I think he was 3rd.
3rd overall.
Gosh, I just hate that. It's just so
324.
I remember you saying that. That's why
324, 3rd place.
Wow,
it wasn't a
that
fast
is
finish.
crazy.
Sevan, that'd be
324.
like 20th place or worse in some of the
Right.
That's
North American
terrible.
semis.
So slow.
The rope climb?
Oh yeah, that's
Yes.
slow.
Obviously, it's not really the same test because of many different variables. But just to put it in context, if he'd done that workout at Syndicate, he would have placed 19th.
Crazy.
That just is. It kind of highlights the field.
What was his time again?
324.
I think
That's-
eventually Halpin will have a comprehensive for all of the semis, even though they're a little bit different. Yeah, he would have been 23rd in the lowlands, but lowlands did it first, so they were of course going to be a little bit faster probably.
Wow, that is, and you know, at least with him, I think it just comes down to the fact that speed up the rope is so slow doing that technique. I just don't get why he would do that with ropes that short.
He would have done
They
14th
didn't
at
look
Granite
that
Games.
short.
They did it as the last workout.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Just his little, he does like a
Talk
butterfly.
about short people. You should know.
You pull it up on the Instagram. He's got a video of it, or he did.
It's stupid.
Okay. While you pull that up, I'm gonna ask you one question. We're gonna then look at Guy's butterfly thing, and then we're getting the fuck off. Hiller, are you ready?
Yo. Oh, I'm ready.
Tell me how good or bad, with no censorship, Patrick Vellner's muscle ups were when he did that 20 and 10.
Great.
They were great.
They were great.
What'd you like about him?
He left no room for doubt on them. No matter what angle I saw them from, they didn't look too bad at all, I should say, because you said no censorship. And if I say anything arbitrary, it leaves room for doubt. They looked great. I can't say the same for many other athletes where they leave room for doubt.
And you would have loved it if he fucked up, because then you could have made a video about him and it would have got a shitload of views and helped the algorithm on your YouTube station.
I don't think a video on Patrick Vellner doing shitty muscle ups would have pumped the algorithm.
Oh,
there are certain athletes doing shitty things that pump the algorithm, but Vellner, that would have spent the wrong way. So I'm glad that he left no room for doubt. And the statement is, when you leave room for judgment, expect to be judged, or a judgment call made by the judge. So watching Vellner, you don't see any of that on anything really, and that's his biggest thing, is he's always moving really well.
Souza, could we see this kip on? They're saying it's on you don't see it on Guy's
on his Instagram.
I was totally expecting you to tell about Guy's lift, by the way.
No, is it in his stories or
Okay,
something?
okay,
No,
fine.
scroll
Let's
down.
talk about Guy's lift too. Fuck it.
It's
Oh, you didn't want to?
Well, I was gonna save it for tonight, but let's do it. Let's get it out of the way. Let's do this.
No, we can
And
save
stop.
it for tonight.
No, keep
Build the
going.
anticipation.
That's not a video.
I mean, you can still see what he's doing there.
Yeah, but
God, he looks young.
to the that one.
That's it.
Gosh, that's so stupid.
Because it's slow.
It's just dumb. I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Well,
Again, I go back to my opinion, and we talked about this when we did the semifinals preview, talking about programming, where I think the climbing along with running are probably two of the most like basic human athletic movements you could do, going back to, just being able to move across land. Human beings have to run and climb, and I just don't like it when people are bad at climbing.
I think it looks great. Okay, I'm gonna. Were there any other videos besides the Guy one that we didn't show, Souza?
Nope, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
Remember when you said there wasn't enough drama going on this weekend? Wasn't that you, Sevan? I was just trying to, dramatize the weekend for you.
I'm just putting a big note here. Let's talk about Guy's lift. That'll give us something to talk about because we only have one event left. And we're going to start at 6:10 as soon as that thing's over, so that we can be done by 7 and watch UFC. Yeah.
I don't know if this matters too, but I pulled up while Pat was talking about it, the different lengths. So the total length of the bar, not just the inside, but the total length of the bar is 69 inches for the C70, and then the full length. The full length of the Rogue, like Olympic weightlifting barbell, is 86.6. So that's a difference of 17.6 inches across the whole entire barbell, not just inside, but the whole barbell as itself. So it is quite a bit smaller.
69 inches, and Hiller doesn't believe in coincidences.
They did that on purpose.
I got pink eye 69ing once.
Wow.
And we're off.
That's the only way pink eye happens, by the way.